Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I've got a video that has partly been requested and partly been of my choosing. So earlier this week, the wonderful Sonia Williams asked the question on Facebook, what do people prefer, marble inks or Sharpies? And there was a lot of different opinions, and I thought about this myself. What do I prefer? Because I've got both. I've got some of the marble inks from INS. I've only got a selection of colours. I do want to add some more. I do have some cheaper ones from eBay as well, but I decided to get these just because they had a white and a black, and the ones off eBay didn't. And I've also got Sharpies, and I got a big set of these ages ago, purely for nail art. Now I've used both, but not a lot. It's not something I do a lot of in my nail art at all. So I don't really at the moment have a favourite, whether it's using marble inks or Sharpies. I don't at the moment feel one is superior over the other. So I'm going to do 3 different designs, each using marble inks and Sharpies, and I will do each design identical in the 2 different ways. Am I making sense? I'm not sure I'm making sense, but I think I am. And I already had in my head some Valentines designs that I was going to do with my marble inks. So I thought, why not do them on video? Do them each with the marble inks, each with the Sharpies, so you can get an idea of what the different things look like on the nail. And I'm going to try and do 3 different, slightly different looks to give you an idea. Now, marble inks, most brands, when you get them, you can get the blending fluid. Sharpies, people say acetone. If you've got blending fluid, you can use that. I do have a blending fluid from the ones I got from eBay, so I'm going to use that for this design because it's nearly finished and I figured I could use it all up. I don't actually have the INS blending fluid, but when I was reading the label of a blending fluid, it is acetone and alcohol. So if you haven't got it, I will try this at some point. You could probably mix acetone with your gel cleanser, which is isopropyl alcohol, and that would probably work just as well. But I do know acetone works for the Sharpies. So that's what I'm going to use. So I've got the same colours. I've got blue, I've got purple, I've got pink, I've got red, and I've also got a little bit of silver. So I've got the same in the Sharpies. And yeah, that is about it for the introduction. So if you'd like to see some Sharpie marble ink designs and maybe decide for yourself which is better, keep watching, and I will come back at the end and give you sort of my final thoughts. So to start off with, I'm going to apply 2 coats of white gel polish to my swatch sticks. I'm just using some natural stiletto ones today, and the gel polish I'm using is Mulled from Perfect 10, which is by Kirsty Evans. So I'm going to do 2 coats, curing each coat for 60 seconds. I'm not going to show you doing them all because that'll be boring. So let's get into the first design. So I'm using marble inks in blue, purple and pink for the first tip, and then I'll be using the same colours in my Sharpies. So I'm starting off, I'm going from lightest to darkest, and I'm just doing a bit of a swoosh down the nail, just doing a couple of drops on, just adding a little bit more, because this will start to help the blending out process that I found. And then I have got my ombre brush I'm using for this, which I'm going to use just to blend it out. So I do just wipe it on a bit of paper towel and things, just because you don't want too much blending fluid, because then it just goes and you don't want that. And then I'm literally just gonna keep doing this until I'm happy. And I want it to look like a bit of a swoosh down the middle of the nail, going from pink to purple to blue. And then I've just changed, and I'm going in with a detailer brush, and then just add a little bit more colour where I feel I need it, and just, there is no right or wrong way to do this. You just add the colour and blend, and you just keep doing this until you get the look you want. And the look I want is possibly different to the look you would want. So yeah, you just blending. And like I said, I try and wipe the blending fluid, or sort of just drain the brush a little bit so it's not too wet, and always wiping the brush before going back into the blending fluid, because they'll just make a mess. We don't want a mess. So yeah, I'm just keeping on doing this. Now I'm going to repeat that, but with my Sharpies. So I'm starting off with my pink Sharpie, doing a squiggle, purple, and then my blue. And then going in with the ombre brush and just watching that disperse. Now what you can already see is the blending fluid, the marble ink is slightly more vibrant to that of the Sharpie, but you can just add more Sharpie and keep adding and keep blending until you get the look you want. But again, like with the marble inks, you know, drain that brush. You don't want to flood it with blending fluid. And you know, I found you get really nice effects if you put the blending fluid down, let it sort of soak out a bit, and then pick up the excess with the brush, a bit like doing watercolour art. So it's just playing around, and that is literally what I'm doing here, playing around until I am happy. Now that I'm happy, I'm going in with a base coat, and you want to make sure the ink or the Sharpie is properly dry before you do this, because otherwise it drags it, and that did happen on one of these. But I'm going in with a base coat, and then I'm just using some glitter hearts, and I'm putting them randomly on the swoosh, and I'm going to do this on both nails. I'm going to cure this for 60 seconds, then I'm going to top coat and cure that for 60 seconds. I've not shown me top coating because you don't need to see that. So you will see the finished top coated nail in a moment. And there we go. So there is my marble art and my Sharpie art swoosh. So for the second design, I'm going to be using red and pink, and I'm going for a bit of a lined marble, sort of the regular marble that you see everywhere. So I'm starting off with the red ink, and I'm blending that out with my ombre brush. I found I really liked the ombre brush, and I tended to use this more. And see, there was a bit too much blending fluid, so I then wiped it up with the dry brush. And I'm trying to leave darker sort of veins here, so almost getting rid of as much of the blended out colour as I can, just leaving the veins. Yeah, and then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to go in with pink and keep repeating this process, as I said again, until I get the look I wanted. Now that just flooded much more than I wanted, so it happens. All I can say is keep calm and just blend like your life depends on it. So while I'm doing this, just a couple of tips that I sort of found. I did a bit of a trial run before filming because I wasn't 100% sure what it was best to work on, whether you want to work on straight onto the white, whether you want it tacky, you want it wiped, whether you want to work on a top coat or what. So I had a bit of a play around, and personally, my preferred way of doing it was to go straight on to the tacky white gel polish. I found that got the best results. So that would be how I would tend to do this in future. But I do believe you can use a no wipe top coat with the Sharpies, and that works quite well. But as you can see from this, straight onto the white worked just as good. So I'm still working on this. I probably should have wiped some of the marble ink off the brush before going in, because I did flood it a bit more than I wanted to. And in honesty, I wasn't overly happy with this. It wasn't exactly how I wanted it. And you see me, I'm just going back in with the ink, just trying to get that look that I wanted. Yeah, it's a bit too much ink there going on, and it wasn't quite fluid enough. Plenty of fluid, but yeah, the design, you know, the marble look that I was going for, it just wasn't that. So now with the Sharpies, and I'm just doing sort of the veiny lines going across. I always put my lids back on because I just don't want them to dry out. So I did both colours, and then I just went over, started with the red, just so I didn't mix the colours too much, with my brush, and then the pink, and then added a bit more, I believe. So I'm going to let you watch this instead of me talking through it, and then I'll be back towards the end of this design. Okay, so I'm just finishing blending this one out, and I much preferred the Sharpie finish on this one. I think to get those darker veins blended out, the Sharpie is the way to go. So just like I did with the first design, I'm going in with my base coat, and I'm adding some hearts and some lips in pink and red, just to give this one the Valentines look. And just like I did with the first design, I'm going to cure this for 60 seconds, then I'm going to top coat and cure that for 60 seconds. For anyone wondering, these glitters are from Glitter Stella. I will try and find out which ones and put the information below. And the base coat and top coat I've used are from Team Gorgeous. I'm using the smoothing base coat and the flexi top gel, but again, all that will be in the description box. So I'm just going to finish this off top coat, and then I'll be back to show you this design number 2 finished. So here is design number 2, and I much prefer the Sharpie one on this one. So going into design number 3, and I'm starting off with my silver marble ink. You want to make sure you give this a good shake up before you use it. And I'm just giving that a little blend out before I go in with, I'm using red, purple and pink. Although that was pink, purple and red. And I'm doing a full cover, just sort of a blended nail. Full cover. So I'm just blending this out, I'm blobbing on the blending fluid, I'm taking away the excess where I need to, and I just want those 3 colours. Apologies, beautiful view of my arm there, no idea what I was doing. I just want sort of a mix of the 3 colours, and I just kept adding more to build up that blotched look that I was looking for. I don't know how best to describe it, but yeah, it's just blobbing on the colours randomly and then blending it out. And I still want some of the darker sort of veiny lines, and then just a blended colour. I'm not describing it very well. How about I let you watch, and I'll be back when I move on to my Sharpie one. starting with the silver Sharpie, and straight off I could tell that was not going to be worth doing at all. So I'm just randomly squiggling on my pink, purple and red Sharpie. Apologies, I'm slightly out of shot for this bit, but you get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm just scribbling it over, just random scribbles. And then I am just going to sort of go in the middle of each of those scribbles and just to start blend them out. And I want to make sure I blend the entire scribble. You don't want to be able to identify any Sharpie scribble. You want it to all be blended. How many times have I said blended in this video? I don't know. Then once I'm happy with how that's blended, I'm going to scribble on some more, just filling in any gaps, adding a bit more colour where I want a bit more depth of colour. I did go in with a bit more silver, but honestly I don't know why I bothered. But there we go. I tried to keep each design exactly the same in the colours used. So a bit more of that blending ink, wipe my brush off, blend some more, and just keep going until I was happy. You might not be happy with it, but I was happy with it, and that's the big thing with these Sharpie marble arts. It's personal preference. Now you can add more where you need to add more, and if you feel you've gone a bit too much, you could just blend it out. That'll get rid of some of the colour. I really felt with these two, the marble ink one looked very galaxy-like, especially because of the silver, and this one, it looked completely different, but I love them both equally. So I'm just going to keep blending this out, and once I was happy with it, I'm actually going to straight off top coat these two designs and cure for 60 seconds. Now you want to make sure this ink or the Sharpie is fully dry before top coating or anything, because it'll drag the design. And I did find if you just pop it in your lamp for 10 seconds, it dries it off enough. Hey presto. Now to make this design a little bit more Valentine's-y, I'm just using some white gel paint and a detailer brush, and I'm just doing some sort of swirly roses, and I'm just doing a couple on both of these nails. I will cure this for 60 seconds, and then that is the third design finished. So join me at the end for my final opinions. Okay, so here are the 6 swatches done. 3 using the marble inks and 3 using Sharpies. And overall, I like them all. There is definitely a difference between what you can achieve with a Sharpie and what you can achieve with the marble inks. The marble inks are slightly more vibrant, slightly more brighter, but I think you could build up the colour with the Sharpies. Now what I do like about the Sharpies is that it's easier to be precise. So whereas here I was trying to get sort of that marbled line across, I found it much easier to get precise looking lines with the Sharpies than with the marble inks, and I definitely preferred the Sharpie one there to the marble one. And on this full colour one, the silver Sharpie might be okay for doing lines and things, but I didn't like that at all. Now I chopped and changed between an ombre brush that I had and just a small sort of detailer brush. I actually really liked how the ombre brush worked with that, and this is a spare ombre brush that I have, so that is going to go aside purely for marble and Sharpie work. I think if you held me down and said you've got to choose either marble inks or Sharpies, I think I would say I prefer the Sharpies. Now don't get me wrong, I do like the marble inks, but I don't know, I just preferred the Sharpie. cost wise, if you're on a bit of a budget, I say look out for the Sharpie offers, because you can get all the colours you need for just over the cost of one of these inks. And if you use it with acetone, you know you've got that in gallons, I'm sure, because I certainly do. So I do think overall the Sharpies do win it for me, but that's not to say there's anything wrong with the marble inks, and I do like them. Now, I haven't come across a white Sharpie. I'm sure there is one, and like I said, I wasn't all that impressed with the silver. So personally, I think if you are going to invest, I would say Sharpies, and then go for a silver, a gold and a white marble ink. You could even get a black if you wanted, but you can get black Sharpies. So whereas I said I was going to get some more of the INS marble inks, I think I'm going to hold off for now and use that money on something else. But obviously it is entirely your preference. I have given you an idea of the 3 different looks you can achieve. There are so many more looks, and there is no right or wrong way. It is however you feel. You could blend a bit more, you could blend a bit less. It's up to you to play around. And if you feel you've blended too much, you can go in with a bit more of the ink or a bit more of the Sharpie and blend that out. So you can keep adding as you go. So it is preference, but I'm going to go with Sharpies. So I would love to know your thoughts on this video, your opinions. Let me know if you are a Sharpie tech or a marble ink tech, and which of these designs you like the most. I am torn. I kind of like this one, this one, this one, and I like this one. I like these two too, but yeah, so I think it definite I'm going the way of the Sharpie. So that is it. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button, and so you don't miss out on my future videos. I have got loads to edit, so I will get on with that. I've just sort of had other things going on. I will leave all the details of the products I've used in the description box, but that is it. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you again very soon. Bye! Mwah.